Hey guys, Attorney Walter Knott. We are live now, and this is very good and very exciting. Remember, we get right to the news. We skip all the yada yada. So like, subscribe, leave 5 stars. Here we go. I wanted to touch on specifically the fourth stimulus and what's going on. I checked out CBS News, among other news stations. What's behind the push for a fourth stimulus? Let's check it out real quick and go through the basic details. Then after I go through some of these articles, I'm going to go ahead and explain why I personally feel, and this is very important, why I personally feel what needs to happen for people to get another stimulus is not currently happening. But we'll go through that. Howdy, Garden. Howdy, Cherries. How you doing? Let's see. Senate Finance Committee is having a hearing next week on improving SSI. It's on their site. Yes, I saw that, and we'll go through that. That's actually, we have a video for that next week, but that's fine too. We'll go through all those details. And then don't forget the Robert M. Ball Award with basically the nonprofit that I want you guys to go check out. I'll put a link in the little section here in the comments. Is throwing an award and giving an award rather to Commissioner Kishikaze, who's the new commissioner of the Social Security Administration through the Biden administration. So that in combination with the Senate, we're expecting to see some huge changes with SSI, Supplemental Security Income, the Poverty-Based Disability Program. I'm really excited about it. I have a whole thing of videos coming out. I also have a whole thing of videos coming out about the deficit that's going on with the trust funds and basically how the SSDI trust fund lost 8 years off of its ability to pay people going into the future because of COVID's 2020 reduction in amount of taxes paid by people, and how the retirement trust fund, the really big trust fund, the mega trust fund, right, the retirement one, lost only 1 year, but it's actually a bigger thing than you might think. Howdy, Hive Runner. Howdy, Nanny Anderson. Little baby girl, Rhonda Marasek. Or Merchek, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Hope all is well, guys. Let's get right to the article. Specifically, this is about, I just want to read the title again. It's What's Behind the Push for a Fourth Stimulus, essentially CBS News by Amy Peachy, September 16th, 2021. And then in the background, you hear the dogs chewing on those toys where you fill them with cream cheese. Hopefully, they'll stay over there, but at some point, they will come over here and try to be part of the show. So we'll have to snuggle them, of course. All right, guys, so real quick, I do see some callers calling in. We're going to get through this piece real quick, and then we'll get right to it. All right, the IRS has issued more than 169 million payments in the third round of direct stimulus aid, with more than 2 million people in July receiving the $1,400 checks. But some lawmakers are pushing for a fourth round of stimulus aid that would effectively send recurrent payments until the pandemic ends. Are we going to see a fourth stimulus payment with recurring payments, kind of like a COVID UBI? No, we're not going to see that, but let's keep reading. So far, the federal response to the crisis caused by the coronavirus pandemic has paid out $3,200 to eligible adults, $1,200 under the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act in March of 2020, $600 in a December relief measure, and $1,400 under the American Rescue Plan signed in March by President Joe Biden. All right, that's what we all know. We know those, but look at the time differences. They're kind of interesting. March 2020, December of 2020, and then we went to March of 2021. Now, I've been saying all along, I have been saying this over and over and over, and some of you guys said, no, you're wrong, but they were in the minority. There were very few people said that. The majority of people said, you're right on. And what I've been right on about, in my opinion, is that we will be seeing a fourth stimulus in the very beginnings of December, just like we did last year. Why is that? Because the government wants people to be happy going into the next election cycle, because whoever's in office wants people to remain happy going into the next election cycle, which is 2022, which is super important for both parties. The Republicans could retake, or the Democrats could take more. It's one of these toss-up gigs. So for both parties, it's super duper extra cheesy important. Extra, okay? We're talking about you bite into that burger and there's cheese all over the place on this puppy. Let's keep reading. So my point is this. March, December 2020, March 2021, very likely to be December 2021. Now, look, a lot of these other channels, like Blind to Billionaire, LA Late, they're all selling this agenda that, we might see it as soon as October. We're not seeing it in October. They're like, oh, the House is going to come together on this, and the categories are going to be done by that date. No. You've seen how politicians work. They work at a similar pace to how a lot of government employees work, right? They're not trying to kill themselves to get that dollar because they don't work in that environment. They work on a repetitive, continuous pace, right? And those jobs, that's how they work. We can't say that's bad or good. That's how they work. We can't burn out those government employees because they're repetitive, continuous paced jobs. It's not like the guy that has to haul trucks that's trying to make extra money to buy the bigger house. It's not like the person who's trying to sell more widgets. That's a different gig. We're talking about politicians. We're talking about government employees, repetitive, continuous, slow movements. We're talking December. They're selling October. They're selling potentially early November. Ain't going to happen. Early December. What do we have at the end of December? Oh, we have Christmas, Hanukkah, and all these other wonderful, amazing holidays. I like to partake in all of them because nobody can stop me. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. All right, let's keep going. Despite that, guys, I'm tired, by the way. I have been up night after night after night getting stuff done. But despite that financial assistance, millions of Americans remain in financial distress, and the spread of the Delta variant is creating new economic headwinds. Almost 1/4 of Americans struggled to pay their household expenses in the previous week, according to new census survey data that polled people during the last 2 weeks of August. You know what's amazing about this? When you think about like a fourth stimulus, the one thing America needs to protect more than anything is its people. Because if the people aren't paying taxes, right, if they're not working and they're not out there and they're not doing stuff, or they're not having an ability to go ahead and keep up with it. And we're not talking about keeping up with the Joneses. We're talking about like keeping up with being able to pay the water bill, the electric bill, the gas bill, the whatever. We're talking about the basics, paying for the ridiculously expensive car insurance. We're talking about the basics. People aren't able to afford that. I love the government's arguments that people didn't take a lot of stimulus money, or there was more stimulus money available that they didn't take. Trust me, if people knew how to get it, they would have got it. All right, here we go. The unemployment rate stands at 5.2%, still higher than its pre-pandemic level of 3.5%. Well, and remember, these unemployment rates are all BS because they don't take into account the amount of people who have given up trying to find work, right? In the sense that they could potentially come back, that they could potentially want to. So these numbers are always wrong. These unemployment rates, they've never been right. They were always built to be political tools that are essentially used to push an agenda as to whether or not people are working or not. But what they don't take into consideration are those people who have given up that are claimed to be no longer part of the work environment. How many people do you know? Just think for a moment. How many people do you guys know that essentially have given up with trying to find a job, but could one day potentially come back and want a job? There's a lot of those people. I know a lot of those people. I have many friends in many different areas. Whether it's Titusville, Melbourne, Bithlo, Cocoa, whatever. I've got a lot of friends that aren't working right now, that want to get back to work, but the job that they wanted, it's not there, yada, yada. All right, let's keep rolling. So you never believe the whole 5.2 versus the 3. Never believe the unemployment statistical data. It's always been wrong. It was built wrong to begin with. That was one of the first things that I learned when I was in my MBA, how unbelievable statistics are. In fact, some of the most famous classic quotes that we have on statistical analysis is very simply about how statistics are used as a form of science that is total and complete. Let's call it disingenuous fluffery, all right? All right, economists are signaling alarm over the spread of the Delta variant, with Oxford Economics recently cutting its forecast for 2021's global economic growth to 5.9% from 6.4%. And there's another problem here. These guys are always behind. You ever notice these economists are always like, oh, it's an amazing, right? But then they're like, oh, hey, they're all focused on Delta, but then Mu is starting to grow, right? And then these other variants, and there's more variants. There's a lot of variants. A lot of people think that there's only 2 variants out there. There's over 20 variants. It's they don't publish that stuff. It's just not, it's not readily available unless you go searching for it. That's another thing too. You can't always use Google to search or the main search engines. You have to use some of the other ones because, what comes up in the top page, which is what we all like to look at, sometimes I'm noticing a little bit of, let's call it soft gloving the results, okay? All right, uncertainty and hesitancy may ultimately lead to a more slow-burning recovery from here than our baseline assumes, wrote Ben May, director of global macro research at Oxford Economics in the report. Like I've been saying, and I was right, and I don't say this proudly because it's not a good thing, we aren't going to be doing this. I said we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. And when we do this with the economy, and then this, that's reality. Because that means we reached everybody who's going to get back to work immediately because they needed to. And then everybody that wants to get back to work, could get back to work, maybe gets back to work, doesn't want to get back to work. That's what that slow increase is. There's no whopper here, or we're just doing a skyrocket. We're not flying into space with our economy. We are doing a slow crawl upwards. We hit our spot. Now we're just doing a slow crawl upwards. Are we back to where we were? No. Are they advertising that look at all the jobs we've added? Yes. Is it all bad advertising and political spin? Of course. Do we love it? Well, we watch TV about it. All right, next thing. At the same time, 9.1 million people, that's a lot of people, lost enhanced unemployment benefits on Labor Day. That was not a smooth move, by the way. I got to tell you, I've seen smooth moves. I mean, Afghanistan was not a smooth move. All right, it's even worse than that. But this one was not a smooth move. The lost enhanced unemployment benefits on Labor Day when the federal benefits expired. What an irony. Want to get back to work. And what the government wants people to work. Don't kid yourself with this whole shenanigans about, oh, they want to take care of us. And no. The government needs you to work so that you earn money, so that you pay taxes, so that they can pay for stuff. A lot of it's great. The military, Social Security benefits, some of it not so great. Pet projects that are off the books, there's some of those. There are some of those. All right. Let's keep reading. That will wipe out about $5 billion in weekly benefits that had been flowing to unemployed workers. Aid that had supported those workers in paying for groceries, rent, and other essentials. Yeah, keeping Americans alive. Why is that important? Because we only need them to stay alive to be able to find jobs going into the future. Why not have an unemployment? Do one of these slowly over time so that they can get back to the way things were. Why? Oh, but you know what? Let's just pick Labor Day. That's the day we cut off the benefits. Let's keep rolling. For many people, in short, the latest round of $1,400 checks is long gone, even as other pandemic stimulus is coming to an end. An issue that is on the minds of many Americans who continue to struggle with joblessness and a weak labor market. Indeed, more than 2.8 million people have signed a change.org petition started last year that calls on lawmakers to pass legislation for recurring 2,000 monthly payments. Will there be 2,000 monthly payments? No, even the fluffy, sugary, YouTube-y channels, the LA Lates, the Blind Billionaires, even they're coming off of that to some degree. I mean, they're still on it, but they're holding on to it because that's how they get their viewership. But that stuff's going away. It's even they have to at this point abandon that ship because it's not there. It's not there for them to keep saying, hey, this is the way that we're going. We're not. There's no 2,000 recurring monthly benefit. There's no $200 increase for all the people receiving Social Security benefits on a monthly basis. There's no $1,000 monthly COVID check that's coming. None of that stuff is happening. However, I bet you a shiny nickel. Only one of you gets to claim that. I'm an attorney. There's the disclaimer. That, I only have one nickel for this thing. But that, okay, when it comes to Christmas time, early December. Remember, March, December. That was the Trump era stimulus, right? Biden, March, December. They want you happy. They want you fed. They want you buying things for people that you love or don't love. It depends on what kind of person you are. And they want you going into that 2022 election season thinking who took care of them. Didn't work out for Trump. Maybe it'll work out for Biden. Who knows? Does it really matter? Maybe. Here we go. Some lawmakers have picked up the idea. 21 senators, all Democrats, signed a March 30th letter to Mr. Biden in support of recurring stimulus payments, pointing out that the $1,400 payment being distributed by the IRS won't tide people over for long. I read the letter to you. I walked you guys through it. It had some grammatical errors, which for me, when you see literally at the highest level of government, grammatical and spelling errors in a document signed by 21 Democrats, it could have been Republicans. It doesn't matter what side they were on the political spectrum. But when you see at the highest level of government that they needed to use a program like Word or Grammarly to just check it once, maybe run the thing, then, you know what I mean? That could have been good. Could have been okay. But they didn't do that. I caught it. I was saddened. I've even said to some of the younger politicians, hey, send it to me. I'll take a look at your bill first. That way we know we got some options. But yeah, they're busy. Almost 6 in 10 people say the $1,400 payment set to be included in the rescue package will last them less than 3 months. And keep in mind, guys, I do see you guys calling in. I will take phone calls very shortly. I just got to get through this real quick. Almost 6 in 10 people say $1,400. So what they're saying is people need more money. All right. Now, meanwhile, some states, right, the state level, not the federal, the state level, are creating their own form of stimulus checks. About 2/3 of California residents are likely to qualify for a Golden State stimulus check via a new effort from Governor Gavin Newsom, we all know why, who just won his recall. That effort will provide $600 for low and middle income residents who have filed their 2020 tax returns. Florida and parts of Texas have authorized bonuses for teachers to help offset the impact of the pandemic. All right, let's talk about this. What we have here is a situation where the politicians are playing a very, very, very smart political game. A lot of people are like, oh, they're idiots. The Republicans are idiots, or the Democrats are idiots. They're not. They're very smart, highly figured out political individuals that know how to play chess better than most of us. So let's talk about that. What are they realistically doing? Okay. What's coming? What's the issue? What's the problem? All right. We know that, next article here, Dem drama as House advances Biden's agenda. What's the draft reconciliation bill? We know that there's a $3.5 trillion bill on the table. Okay, we know that. We know that it exists. We know that Pelosi is having a difficult time getting pushed through. And we know that Pelosi is trying to do something that is way too big and way too difficult with Schumer, which is that they want to push these two big bills through at the same time. They're massive. The amount of paper would float above my head as to how many pages each one of them has. So, what's happening? Well, we know this. The categories of what's in them hasn't actually been figured out yet inside the $3.5 trillion bill. Imagine that. If you can. I can't. Personally, I'm a pretty smart guy, I think sometimes. But I can't. $3.5 trillion, they don't even know what the categories are. Now, look, when I go do something, first thing I do is I write out what I want the end goal to be. Then I write out the categories of stuff that I need to work on to get to the end goal. Then I fill in bullet points of the things that I need to focus on in each category to get to the end goal. Then I outline each bullet point with some specifics on what I need to do to make the end goal happen. Where are we at with the $3.5 trillion bill? We are at maybe some categories almost being finalized. Beyond that, we're nowhere. Not only that, there are people who are unwilling to sign it. Some people say it needs to be more than $3.5 trillion. Here's the kicker with this whole big money thing, this whole like 6 trillion, 5 trillion, 1 trillion, 2 trillion. So the Republicans are usually on we need it for like 1 trillion, 2 trillion. The Democrats are usually like, we need 6 trillion, right? Somebody has to pay for this somehow. Now, I'm not saying that it couldn't be 6 trillion. It absolutely could. I'm not saying it couldn't be 1 trillion. It surely could. But how much do we want to pay for things that are not going to benefit us in a very large way? Well, if they're throwing in a stimulus check, maybe we'd be okay with that, right? We'd be more willing to receive the benefit of it. But if it's just for roads and bridges, maybe we'd be like, I don't know. That seems like a lot of money. You personally have to decide. As I tell people, you are in control of your own vote. I have zero control over your vote. If you want to go figure something out about something I say, go research it. But you are in control of your own vote. When people want to tell you that you have to do something, reference your rights, please. All right, next thing. Following months of negotiations, House Democrats, this is from ABC News. We were NBC, now we're ABC. Okay, this was done too very shortly. They just came out with this. House Democrats advanced critical legislation late Wednesday that will help President Joe Biden deliver on a massive $3.5 trillion human infrastructure bill, a package filled with social and progressive priorities. I am expecting that this bill will be the greatest bill giving Americans stuff and illegal immigrants and immigrants ever created by the United States government. I believe this because they need to spend a lot to get the favor of the people going into 2022 for the House and Senate re-elections/elections. I say re-elections because we both know there's not a lot of term limits on these puppies. All right, let's just be honest about this. So with that said, it means that they have an opportunity here to put money into the Social Security, retirement, DI, trust fund accounts. They have the opportunity here to give direct stimulus payments to the people. They have the opportunity here to do a COVID relief package to the people. That could even be UBI oriented, repetitive monthly. It could be any of these. That'd be amazing. They could do any of these things, but they will not happen. They will not happen unless people start to get very, 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 very unhappy. Let's take an example of reality, right? What's an example of reality? Well, so we had a place called California. It's a pretty big state. It's over there, right? California. They got pretty angry with the tyrannical traditions of the state-based government telling them how to live their lives. They got so angry. They got so dissatisfied that they reached out and said, you know what, Gavin Newsom, governor, we would like you to step down. They did a recall. And the recall was positioned with purpose to get somebody else in. Could have been a Republican, could have been a Democrat. Who cares? Doesn't matter. It is what it is. Okay? Here's the problem, right? Here's the problem. Recall came down. Everybody's happy. Why? Well, some people say the system is rigged. Maybe, who knows? Some people say they're happy because they got stimulus checks, $600. There's another $600 coming. And how did they pay for that? Well, the federal government bailed out the state government in California, right? It's a natural emergency. They threw lots of money at them. Yay. Okay, that's how they did it. If anybody's wondering how they magically came up with that money, because they were making so much money, they're not making so much money. California continuously is like facing the line of going out of business as a state, which is sad because it's a big state and they make a lot of money normally. Yeah, they also tax a lot of money, so it shouldn't be that hard for them to stay in. So what are we looking at? We're looking at a situation that's tough. But if people are not complaining going into December at a high level about essentially the idea of recalling a president, which is impossible, right? You can't recall presidents. So it just doesn't, it's not in the laws to do that. You would essentially be relying on like an impeachment situation, right? But if people are not upset like they were with Gavin Newsom, then we're not likely to see much when it comes to essentially human infrastructure being for, like the humans. It blows my mind. I hope it doesn't blow yours, but it should. All right. So with that said, the bottom line is this. If people get angry and they get sassy pantsy, then what will happen is they'll put their little space boots on, they'll start clicking their heels, and they'll start to complain. And if they complain, then that is a notification to the Democrats that let's call that, it's more than the White House. It's the White House, the Senate House. We'll just put a house on the end of everything. The House. It's all these places that let's call it like it is. Their stage, their great castle is in trouble because the walls are shaking because people are unhappy. Why a president cannot be recalled. Here we go. ThoughtCo. What the Constitution says about removing a sitting president. Doesn't have a date on this. All right. Updated October 8th, 2020 by Tom Merce. Having regrets about your vote for president, they created this article as a thing about, Trump to say, how could you vote in Trump, yada, yada. But the bottom line is, here we go. Sorry, there's no mulligan. The U.S. Constitution does not allow for the recall of a president outside of the impeachment process or the removal of commander-in-chief who is deemed unfit for office under the 25th Amendment. There is no recall option, or what I like to call the really difficult to push reset button. It's super tiny. You can't just use a little tool. You got to take the front panel off. That's just how it works, all right? In fact, there are no political recall mechanisms available to voters at the federal level. Voters can't recall members of Congress either. Wow, why would we when they have unlimited redos running and getting elected? Why would we? They're just going to come back. However, 19 states and the District of Columbia allow for the recall of elected officials serving in state positions. 19 states and D.C. That's not bad, right? D.C. is kind of the federal government. Yeah. Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Georgia, Idaho, Illinois, Kansas, Louisiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Montana, Nevada, New Jersey, North Dakota, Oregon, Rhode Island, Washington, Wisconsin, Virginia is unique in that it lets residents petition, not vote for an official removal. All right, so I just want to point out here with all those states, how many of those states, after watching California go through this, are going to vote to get rid of that? I bet a couple of them, and I bet California is at the top of them. All right, here we go. Let's keep rolling here. That is not to say that there's never been support for a recall process at the federal level. In fact, a U.S. senator from New Jersey, by the name of Robert Hendrickson, proposed a constitutional amendment in 1951 that would have allowed voters to recall a president by holding a second election to undo the first. Congress never approved the measure, but the idea lives on. Well, I'm sure it lives on, but I'm sure he didn't live on. If I go Google his name, we'll see what was his pass away date. You know, it's funny how, when people question at a high level, like important people, not like me, but important people, and they question the system, how they have accidents. My favorite Supreme Court justice disappeared in Texas on a ranch during the night in his bed. Anyways, it's very sad, but we'll continue. After the 2016 presidential election, some voters who disapproved of the elected president or who were disappointed that Donald Trump lost the popular vote but still defeated Hillary Clinton tried to launch a petition to recall the billionaire real estate developer. And then it just goes on for yada yada. All right, so now you get it. You get the constitutional rule. We can skip that. A lot of you do not know how a budget reconciliation works. Therefore, as punishment, we are going to take a total of 3 minutes. Don't you dare get out of stopwatch because I don't care. And we're going to go through what it is so that you guys have a better idea of how it works. Here we go. All right, executive summary. What is reconciliation? Reconciliation is a tool, a special process that makes legislation easier to pass in the Senate. Yeah, it's a bad tool. All right, here we go. How is it different from a regular bill? Instead of needing 60 votes, a reconciliation bill only needs a simple majority in the Senate. A simple majority is different than 60 votes. Okay, just keep that in mind. That's important for this. Reconciliation starts with the congressional budget resolution. The budget cannot be stalled in the Senate by filibuster, and it does not need the president's signature. Big part is it doesn't need the president's signature. If the budget calls for reconciliation, it tells certain committees to change spending, revenues, deficit, or the debt limit by a specific amount. Most important part of the sentence, debt limit. They can change the debt limit. Why? Because in October, the government is likely going to run out of money. That required fancy fingers. The government will literally, probably, as the math goes, run out of money. So what do? Well, we put our glasses on, we look straight at the camera, and we say, the American people, we need to spend more money of your money. And when we spend more of your money, we mean raise the debt ceiling, because we, the politicians, we need that raise. Because if we have that raise, we got that vote. And then we feel better. And then we'll do a better job for you. And that's what you end up with. That's the bottom line. That's the crazy, crazy thing about it is they get to just keep spending your money. And you get to sit there and not do anything about it. It's not good. Let's keep reading. All right. Each committee writes a bill to achieve its target. And if more than one committee is told to act, the budget committee puts the bills together into one big bill, right? We're combining these horrible, treacherous little bills, these little poison pills. We're just shoving them in there. It's a pill bottle that's about to burst off its cap because it's filled with poison. That is how they do it. They just combine them as opposed to giving you a singular bill on the thing that we should be voting on. Well, they throw it all in there because what's a shovel for picking things up and then putting things down where they're not supposed to be on your table. All right, let's keep reading. It's fun, I guess. That bill has special status in the Senate, like the budget. It cannot be filibustered and only needs a simple majority to pass. Why not use it for everything? Others, and this is the public policy of why it is moronic to even have the rule, because what we're essentially doing is stealing rights from the American people by offering a fast pass at the carnival ride to go ahead and just get right on and pass it. Here, other special rules which are designed to protect the rights of the minority party apply to reconciliation bills. Only policies that change spending or revenues can be included, which is like the most important thing, spending, revenues, where all the money goes. It's the purse, the money bag, whatever we put into the system, they're taken away. Senate debate time is limited and only certain kinds of amendments can be offered. For example, the Social Security program cannot be changed in reconciliation. You know why? because they all sat back in the very beginning and said, this is too important. The Social Security Administration is too important for us to screw it up using a reconciliation bill. Let me read again. Designed to protect, right, other special rules, which are designed to protect the rights of the minority party applied to reconciliation rules. Okay. All right. I've said my piece. Now, we shall begin the process of calling people. Please remember, I have been up until 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. working. I work on a lot of stuff. I don't just work on the law firm stuff. I haven't gotten a chance to really spend time on spaceconstitution.com. But here's the thing. We will now, and remember, I know you guys like to come here and ask questions. We will now be answering questions for people who called. I will begin the calling process. If you guys want to stay for that, please do. Anybody that has a question, anybody at all, any question at all, so long as it's about disability law or other things that make me laugh, but any question at all, we will be examining what the person's question is, finding an answer, and if we can't find an answer, I'll do a video on it later. I'm the only attorney that I know of that has a YouTube channel that answers questions live on the phone on YouTube every single week, which is insanity because you would think, like, how could he do that and know what to, all that's, all that stuff. But bottom line is this, we're doing it. Here we go. Here's the call. Let's get it rolling. I get them on the phone. You guys know how this works. And then at that point, we go ahead and ask them if they want a question or if we run the hearing questions with them. Let me see if I can get them on the phone. Once we do, we'll get rolling. Here we go, guys. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube. Please remember to go ahead and use your fake name throughout this process. Also very important, would you like me to answer a specific question or would you like me to run hearing questions? Perfect, good sir. Let me put it on speaker real quick. Let's see, I have to click this button. Good sir, go ahead and ask me the question. What can I help you with?
Yes, I was watching you live and you had said that there was going to be a hearing in the Senate next week about the Social Security Restoration Act, and I want to know is that going to be on the HR 3824?
All right, so here's the thing. I'm doing a whole set of videos on that, so I don't want to talk about that during the live session because if I do that, then it takes away all the like excitement from the videos, and I have like a whole building thing on that. So, all right, there's two big things, but I'm not going to go way into it. But there's two big things. Thing number one is that there are multiple bills that are expecting to be brought up, multiple options, specifically on supplemental security income, specifically on the things that were expected to be reviewed as part of the original Supplemental Security Restoration Act. Are all the things that we want in there? Not even close. Are there other things in there about Social Security disability insurance? Yes. When it comes down to what's happening, we are seeing, remember, we're talking macro right now. We are seeing the commissioner, new one, appointed by President Biden, just finishing up all of her cutesy stuff. When they make a new commissioner, the commissioner comes out with, the new compassion allowance listings that they're offering. The commissioner will come out with, basic updates, safety things that they're fluffy stuff. They're not really drastically game-changing. However, for the Social Security Administration to effectively work with the legislators, we have to have a new commissioner under that White House. We couldn't have Commissioner Saul for this. We have to have Commissioner Keisha Causey. Keisha Causey represents the person who will hopefully be able to integrate and work with what the Senate and the House are doing right now to push through the new agenda. Now, you want me to go into specifically what the new agenda is, correct?
Yes, basically, because I know that there's like, I think 48 congressmen and women that are on this bill trying to push it forward. And basically, what my question and I wanted to know was that if it was presented and it passes, well, I know that one that I'm concerned of is that if the in-kind support is mostly the one important one that I'm going through myself right now, and my check had gotten reduced down to to 452 plus they're charging me the 10%. Went down to 5 something because I got in-kind support. They might have just sent me $100. Went into my account and saw you're getting help. So, and that's something that I know that's going to help a lot of people, especially right now during COVID and stuff like that. A lot of people got in-kind support. And that shouldn't be something that should be held against us, because first of all, we can't live off of the $7.94, $7.96 that they were giving us. And due to the fact when COVID hit, toilet papers were flying off the shelf. Families were concerned of their disabled elderly relatives or kids or whatever. And they were sending in-kind support, of course, because the money that we were getting for SSI wasn't enough just to cover bills, but we need to get cleaning supplies, cosmetics, and cases of waters were flying off the shelf. So my question is that, do you think that it's going to pass where they're going to eliminate the in-kind support law and re-amend that?
Okay, so here's the deal. We all know that the Republicans are not super for Social Security benefits. We all know that. We all know that the Democrats tend to be the ones who push forward that agenda. Democrats are in power. The SSI Restoration Act is not a young bill. This bill has been reintroduced many times. The in-kind support and maintenance rule, also known as the one-third reduction rule, is where the SSA will look to see if somebody is assisting somebody, right, with their SSI benefits. So let's say SSI person is living their life, and then every month somebody helps that person that's living their life and gives them $100, $200, $300, a place to stay, something they need. They're looking for this repetitive nature. And what happens is they say, whoa, it appears to me, this is the Social Security Administration, that somebody is helping you. If somebody's helping you, then they can reduce your benefits from the $794 down to $500 and something, right? What did they reduce your benefits down to?
So it was 520 something, and then they charged me 10%, so it's down like to 440 something.
Okay, so you are unhappy. Your level of crankiness is high because they went into your bank account, which they have a right to do once you apply for disability benefits, and said, hey, somebody's helping you out. Now, my question to you is, why didn't you use a loan agreement with that person to go ahead and basically have that person be the lender and then forgive the loan down the line if they so chose to?
Yeah, I didn't know about that. That's why.
Oh, so I'm eating ice cream because my life sucks. All right. So here's the thing. It does. It really does, man. I've been working. At my age, you shouldn't have white hair, but I got a lot of white hair. But all right. What you're going to do is you're going to email me after the show or during the show, whatever. I'll get it later. And then you're going to bug me tomorrow. You're going to text me. And you're going to say, hey, can you send me the loan agreement that I can have that person sign so I can send it into the local field office and have them take that loan agreement and go ahead and push me back up to $794 a month because I don't like this whole in-kind support and maintenance thing. It's ruining my style, right? And that's what you're going to do. Email me tonight. Bug me tomorrow. I will email it to you. You fill it out with that person. You send it into the SSA. You're good to go. Now, is that going to change likely with these new SSI rules? Look, the $2,000 limitation should be 10 grand. It should be more than that, but they're pushing the 10 grand. I hope to God it takes Democrats to think forward because they're the ones that are going to the extreme future stuff, except when you talk about space stuff. That tends to be Republicans. Republicans are all about conserving things. We don't want to lose what we've got, right? It takes the Democrats to think forward. It takes the Republicans to figure out how to pay for it. That's usually what happens. I know some people have shown me stuff where that wasn't the case in history. I fully understand. That's not a bright line rule. That's perfect. I get it. Bottom line is this. I hope that with the changes, that they change the income limitation requirements, the asset holding limitation requirements. I hope that they change the in-kind support maintenance rule. I hope that they change how they handle the distribution of funds for back pay. I hope that they open up the option for retroactive benefits. There's a lot of things. I hope that they change how they look at the whole life insurance policy restriction at $1,500. I hope that they change the 1 car versus 2 car versus whatever car rule, whatever you want to call it. I hope that they allow a person to potentially have one more home as an SSI person if they could maybe potentially afford it or inherit it or whatever. I hope that they change these things, because SSI people deserve to have one vacation a year at least, right? Because otherwise they live in a room, their life sucks. They can't date people because they don't have money. They can't interact with people on a lot of the things that are out there that are fun to do that cost money. So they're stuck. And it's like its own version of eugenics to try and stop people who are disabled, who are poor, from having more kids because they can't afford to take care of the kids. Nobody looks at that stuff. I didn't even think about it. A claimant brought it up to me and said, I can't date anybody. I thought, what do you mean you can't date anybody? You're an SSI. You got all the time in the world. And he's like, no, I can't afford anything. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting point. And he's like, I can't do transportation stuff. I can't afford the insurance. It's like, God, man, that's an interesting point. So yes, good sir, I agree. We have more videos coming out. I am ultra cranky in them, but that's because I'm tired. But I push the agenda that SSI people deserve more than what they're currently receiving, because America has created basically a slave-based population that's receiving the bare minimum to exist. SSI is, let's call it like it is, UBI. The only difference is they require you to be severely disabled, but it is UBI. It's a check every month in health insurance. That's all it is. Good sir, how else can I help you? Do you have any other questions?
Yes, one more final question. If so when I got my check reduced in that, they sent me the letter saying the check had been reduced. They took the 10% off, took me down to $440 something.
Yeah.
And then they said I have a right to appeal it, to have it heard in front of an administrative law judge. So I put in the appeal. So the question I have, I put in the appeal. I have it. I just put it in the mailbox 2 days ago. And by the time I get that court hearing, let's say that the Senate and the House do happen to pass the in-kind support, and it goes through, and I still haven't gotten to my hearing, would that automatically give me back my benefits without even having to go in front of the judge if it does pass the House and the Senate?
Dude, that's a really good question. I'm like sitting here thinking this show is just me talking to people about stuff, but you actually just made this show relevant. What happens in that situation is when you are waiting to go to a hearing, and what happens is you filed with the purpose of having all those months that you were receiving a lower amount, right? Only getting the $520 and not the $794. For each one of those months that you were waiting, that new rule that's adopted does not affect those months going back in time. You still have to go to that hearing to get a judge under the old rules to approve what you're saying. Only those months going forward from them passing that would essentially be those months that you would have the full 794 going forward. But going back, no, you got to have a hearing and a whole spiel. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. Any other questions, good sir?
That would be all. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. You've helped a lot of people. I watch you.
Excellent.
Every Thursday, and man, you're an intelligent man, and I just want to thank you for your knowledge and for giving me some insight on your side of things. I appreciate you. Thanks.
Absolutely, good sir. You have a wonderful night.
All right, you too. Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, we'll help him out later. He'll email me or text me, bug me in some way. You got to bug me a little bit right now because things are so busy. But the bottom line is, and I know that we missed a bunch of phone calls. Okay. Remember, guys, if you call me with a hidden phone number, I usually don't pick those up during the live session. So if you call me, if I gotta call you back, you can't give me a hidden phone number. All right, so let's get the next one. Here we go. Okie doke. All right, you guys know how this works. We get them on the line, we ask them a question, answer a question, run hearing questions, and then blah, 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 blah. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can get this thing to ring. It's ringing. Here we go. All right, good. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube right now. Would you like me to go ahead and remember to use a fake name? Would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to run hearing questions with you?
I just have a question.
Excellent. How can I help you?
I am on disability. I'm on SSDI.
Okay.
And I've been on it for 6 years. I have COPD. When I applied, I got it within 3 months.
Congratulations.
And it will be time in the spring to be evaluated again, and I'm just worried because I'm no longer seeing my regular doctor.
Right.
I'm seeing her. I'm still in his office, but I am seeing a nurse practitioner, and I'm wondering if that's going to be a problem when I'm reviewed.
Okay, so I was hoping you were going to ask more of a question because I'm sitting here eating ice cream.
Yeah, I know you're eating ice cream. I've been watching you.
Okay. So here's the deal. Another very complex, valid question, but here's what it'll come down to. The SSA had to recognize at some point ARNPs. ARNPs are Advanced Registered Nurse Practitioners. They're almost doctors, but they're not. They're like nurses that grew up in the ranks. That's kind of what they are. They really know how to do their like thing, like they're pigeonholed into their thing, but they know how to do it. So, all right. Is it going to be a problem? Yes. You should still have your doctor review you at least once before they go through the full CDR to sign off on what they're talking about with the ARNP. That gets you away from the issue of not having a higher level provider sign off on you. Why? When they look at this stuff, they look at, is this a master's level provider? Is this a doctorate level provider? Is this a postdoctorate level provider? They look at these levels to decide the weight of the evidence. If the evidence has more weight, that means, and weight means it goes down. That means the evidence is heavier, it's better, we can use it more. They look at the weight of the evidence because if that one has a postdoctorate degree and this one's only an ARNP master's level, then we know they're going to listen to this person more than this person. All right, so that's thing number one. Thing number two is that you have to keep in mind this rule. And I have a claim tomorrow, a very unique one that has a big issue with this rule. Actually, I have two claims tomorrow that have a big issue with this rule. I have two claims tomorrow that are remands from appeals counsel to the ALJ level that are based on people who lost their benefits, and it has to do with the medical improvement standard rule. What is the medical improvement standard rule? When you're found disabled back in the day, they use that standard to see if you've improved any. If you haven't improved any, you still get to keep your benefits. The idea is they're always going to be changing the laws. They're always going to be changing the rules to rip somebody off of disability benefits because the new rules make it harder to be found disabled because it's, the standard to be found disabled is even more severe. Well, the rules are always changing. But if you're found disabled, medical standard rule, you get to go ahead and only be held to the expectation through the 8-step sequential process that you either got a little bit better and then you're not disabled, or you're the same amount of bad or worse. Okay, most people are obviously worse because that's how most impairments get. Now, with that said, I am seeing the courts take that rule and crumple it a little bit because it's very easy to get around it. The moment a doctor says, oh, your medication is making you do better and you're doing better at these things. The moment your doctor says, look at how far you can walk now. Look at the things you couldn't do when you first came in here. The moment the doctor says, oh, you have the capacity, you have the this, the that. The moment your doctor throws you under the bus just a little bit, that opens up the option for them to go ahead and say, well, medical improvement, ergo, now we need to do an analysis. And then when they deny you and kick you off of the benefits, and then you give up, right? So let's say that you don't win this one, and then you try to file for disability benefits. Then you're now under the current standard, not the old standard. And you, 6 years ago, were under the good standards before a lot of the 2017 stuff really came into existence. Now, unfortunately, that's what you're dealing with. So you are correct to be worried. Is this going to be a CDR where you're going to be forced to look at, have you improved it all? Well, yes, you need to look at your medical evidence and see what they're saying. Is this a situation where basically, you need to make sure that you have multiple physicians, not just the one you've been seeing a lot, signing off that you are as disabled and severe as you were, if not worse? Yes, because they're going to come out with you with the doctor, and you should have two. I don't care if it's an emergency room situation, a clinical physician, a post-specialty, whatever. Get somebody else on there that can review you, or somebody that is linear with that field of medicine. All right?
So are you saying that like I should see a pulmonary doctor? Because I have just stayed with my primary, and which was an MD, my primary, but my husband and I both went to him for 25 years. My husband died last year, and I was upset with him, and that's why I switched to his nurse practitioner, because I couldn't see him anymore. I was just mad at him for, I just felt like he didn't help my husband. And he was my doctor too. So I was just mad about that. I don't know whether to go to a pulmonary doctor now. And I've not been hospitalized because I stay away from everybody. I stay in my house, and my husband's been gone a year now, and I don't go anywhere. I go to the grocery store, I come home, I stay to myself, and that is my life, you know.
Well, that's most disabled people live in that reality of, you know, being in a situation where they don't really have a life in the sense of doing things, having fun, feeling a part of the, you know, society, etc. I mean, that's one of the reasons SSI especially, and I know your SSDI has to change because, you know, as bad as it is for you, it's even worse for them. Now, I know that they don't have the work credits, of course, that they paid into the system, and I get that. But, you know, I mean, how much are you getting per month if you don't mind me asking?
1,057.
Okay, so imagine if you were getting 794, and how much that little bit of change in money would affect you in a massive way. You know?
Well, yeah, and I get that. I mean, I understand that, but that's like I don't qualify for Medicaid. You know, so my medicines are very expensive, as you know. COPD, your medicines are very expensive. If I had Medicaid, I'm sorry, you know, that they would pay more of those medicines for you. So yeah, I might get 1,057 a month, but you know, I spend a lot in medicines a month too.
Well, all right. So what would you feel would be the correct solution with all this?
Oh, I don't know. I guess, you know, sell everything I got, not have nothing, and get Medicare where I could get more assistance with other stuff, you know, because right now I don't qualify for anything. My husband died, so I lost, you know, I mean, now I'm living on just my income. It's tough, you know, it's tough, and it's scary to think if I get kicked off of it and I got to try to go back out into the workforce, and we're dealing with COPD. Well, I'm dealing with COPD, and we've got COVID. I mean, it's like, you know, a disaster.
This is what I would say, you know, when this comes down to it. The big problem here is that, unfortunately, the system as it is should be paying people significantly more money per month. And here's why. Originally, they claimed that the system was set up for people to get retirement and SSDI benefits as this covering idea. And they always said with retirement, hey, with retirement, it's not supposed to be the only thing that you put away, right? That was the idea. It was only supposed to be a percentage of what you have at retirement time. But we know that's BS. We know it's BS.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we know that because
it's kicking me out of everything else. I mean, I've just got, it's not like, you know, I'm living off of a lot because, you know, it takes everything I got in order to survive. But one disaster, like, you know, the heating system goes out, say, you know, then where am I, you know?
So the bottom line is this. At the end of the day, in the short-term sense, things that you can do if you can do some work is do like a ticket to work program to get a little bit of funds. Another thing that you could potentially do, perhaps, is to go ahead and, you know, start looking at the the legislation and what they're trying to push and voting for those individuals that want to push the Social Security 2100 Act details of changing Social Security benefits to go ahead and make it a stable program that could potentially earn and pay more into the future. And the idea here is this. We got rid of a lot of the PEP programs and the military spending details that we have that's all over the world. We would have more funds to go ahead and put those funds into the DI trust and the retirement trust. And the whole idea behind that is essentially that if we had more money to put into those trust funds, then we would be able to go ahead and, let's call it like it is, give people more money. And the sad thing is we have not invested in a very intelligent way over the past 50 years as a country. In fact, when we did that big green push during the Obama era, most of those companies went out of business. And then one of them that was actually successful as a green energy company was then sold off to China. So the problem that we're seeing here is that we have not invested properly with the US's funds. Had we invested like Wall Street does, there would be so much money that people would not in America have to work. And that's the crazy thing about it. If you look at Wall Street and you look at how they invest things and how much money they make off of it, they make off like bandits. But they don't have the amount of money like the United States government does. If the US government invested like Wall Street did, no American would have to work. There would be that much money. There would be that much retirement. They would be able to have UBI all the time. That's the truth of it. But nobody talks about that because it makes everybody look bad. It makes the Republicans look bad. It makes the Democrats look bad, etc.
Yeah.
So I hear you. You know, it's a tough situation. The bottom line is this. I really, really do hope my generation coming up can fix a lot of these things. Will it help your generation? I don't know, but I don't really intend of going into politics because I'm not a big fan of politics. I'm a fan of human rights and creating rights. The whole idea of Space Constitution is to create future template constitutions for things that, create existences, societies in space. That's the whole idea of that. But I don't think people who are into human rights are into politics. Those two seem to be very different nowadays. So.
Yeah, I know. Well, and I will be 58. I don't know if that will even account for anything when this review comes up.
No, so here's the thing. If you're looking for ways to kind of build your claim, call me at some point, either tomorrow or during the weekend or something. I'll see if I can help you out and kind of give you the best options and avenue for types of evidence that you need to collect for your impairments, because your gig is to try and meet the listings and then provide those types of evidence that are expected for a person who's in the severe to extreme category. For example, a person that has a tough time walking would need a wheelchair, etc. Those types of evidence that you would expect from a person suffering from your impairments.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Madame,
thank you, and thank you for everything you do. I listen to you all the time. You're awesome. Recommend you to everybody.
Excellent. I really appreciate it. You have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so guys, here's the thing. And I do want to cut it short a little bit today. I do see more phone calls. I'm going to do one more phone call. I do see the comments. I do see some of the questions in there. I do see the push for Cheyenne and stuff like that. I have not told Cheyenne to not be a part of this channel. She's working with another law firm right now that has their own channel and stuff like that. She has her own channel. I have not said she can't be part of it in any way. She was part of it and donating her time to begin with some of the stuff. So, I don't have any control over that. A lot of you guys like to make up stories about whatever love life I'm supposed to have. I don't have one. I'm working constantly until 2 to 3 a.m. every single night. So I hear you, but at the same time, there's not much I can do to appease whatever expectations you have for whatever my love life is supposed to be. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? All right, so here we go. We're gonna take one more phone call real quick, and then we'll kind of go from there. Okay, right over. Let's see. Here we go. Let's get this one, and let's just do one more phone call, and then I'm gonna go do stuff because I actually have a few more details I need to finish tonight, and I do have to prep for one of the hearings tomorrow. Let's see. Here we go. Hi, good sir. Hi, ma'am. How are you doing? Good, good, good. If you go ahead and mute the computer in the background, you are live, so I can hear the actual repeat of it in the live session. You are live. Would you like me to answer a specific question, or would you like me to go ahead and run hearing questions with you?
Well, I spoke to you before. I'm the one that has the land, and you told me to sell it.
Okay, gotcha. I don't remember the specific case details, but walk me through it.
I had a partial lot, and it was taxed at $3,035, and you're not allowed to have any kind of assets for SSI over $3,000.
Oh, if you're married, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm married. But anyway, I had applied for Social Security. I was the one that was on it before on SSI.
Okay.
DI before, and now I'm just going to qualify for SSI. And I had applied, and they said I wasn't eligible because I had the lot, and you told me to sell it, so I went ahead and sold it. And when I sold it, there was back taxes on it, and the gentleman paid for the back taxes, and then I only got $2,500.
Okay, so there must have been a lot of back taxes on it. Yeah.
Well, the property was only $3,035, and I haven't paid taxes in 20 years. I figured it was long gone for the back taxes.
Right.
I hadn't paid taxes on 20 years. It was like $1,300 back taxes. So I got $500 out of it, and I was wondering if do I have to go all the way back through the process of a whole nother claim, or can I?
No, you just march forward. No, you just march forward. You got what'd you say, $2,500 that came in from this? That's an asset, and you're on SSI benefits, or you're seeking to continue getting SSI benefits?
No, I had not gotten them because I own this piece of land.
So, because you had two pieces of land, is what you're saying?
No. I only had one. I only had this piece of land. Mm-hmm. And they had sent me a letter. This was dated March 15, 2021. It said that I was over the limit for couple. Was denied on 12/17/20. They actually approved me, but because I had this lot and it was worth $35 more than the $3,000, they threw me off of it. You know what I mean? They just canceled it. She said, well, when you sell it, then you'll have to get back hold of it, and we'll have to go through the whole process again. Is that true?
Well, no, I mean, you just wouldn't be eligible for whatever month you had it if it was an issue for their calculations. Keep in mind, I don't know the whole fact pattern here, but the bottom line is this, if they, and I don't know what, it sounds like you might have had something and then something else, or it might have been over the asset limit options or whatever, but the bottom line is,
the asset limit is $3,000. It was in the tax portion of it. The taxes that had to be paid on it said that the value of it is now $3,035.
Okay, so basically, what you're saying is that you've now gotten rid of it. You don't want to have to refile. You just want them to approve the claim, correct?
If I can, yes, but I don't know.
Okay, so when did they do the approval? What month?
I want to say it was December of 2020. They approved it. But they were only going to, and I had originally started it in October of 19. However, they said they were only going to approve it from my birthday, which I don't understand, from November to my birthday, which is in May. Why they were only going to let me pick it up from May, all those, 6-7 months or whatnot.
So basically what we're looking at with your situation is, you were in a tough situation where you didn't want to, December, they decided you were disabled. You just sold it, right? Just this month or last month?
Yeah, just 2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I mean, reality is I would reach out to the local field office. They do have like a 6-month rule or whatever where you have to do something within 6 months, but I would see if you can still kind of attach to the original filing approval. If not, you would just file a new SSI application and then attach the approval details and then just keep calling the local field office. Maybe they won't need to send it to DDS. Maybe they'll just approve it.
Well, because I had called them about it, and she said, "Oh no, you got to go all back through it again." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah. Well, that.
My next,
yeah. Go ahead.
My next question would be, can I just get the paperwork that I turned in? I guess it was in November 19. Can I just get that paperwork and change the dates and refile it?
You could. The forms aren't the same. They've changed a little bit because they updated the PDFs. But the bottom line is, yeah, you could pretty much do that and just refile them if you wanted to. Yeah, you could do that. They're still going to want updated 3373s, 3369, stuff like that if you go to DDS. But this might be one of those things where if you talk to a manager at the local FO, they might be able to just get it through, because what they're trying to do right now is figure out ways to just push things through a lot faster. And that would be a claim that they could just approve, push through, get you off their docket, and then move forward.
But it's for SSI, so do you think they'll really do that?
Yeah, they do that. I've had claimants on SSI where I had to go up to the commissioner's office with the Office of Inspector General. The Office of Inspector General reached down to the local field office and said, okay, get a fix for this. And then they called me, we worked out a deal. And, it was a deal where we didn't want to have to go through the whole harangue again. And it was one of these, their question is going to be, just so you know, why didn't you sell it back in December or before December? So you should have a good answer to that.
We had COVID going on. I got my determination during COVID and all that. You know what I'm saying?
Make a bullet point list. All the reasons. Because everybody likes to blame COVID, but at some point, yeah. So
It was the thing about it was I honestly didn't think that it was still in my name because after 20 years of not paying taxes, you would have thought it would have went bye-bye, right?
Now that's
It was
interesting.
just a partial piece of land that was nothing, and the city came through and ruined that little piece of land by putting a great big massive storm drain right in the one parking lot it had. All the other parking lots on the whole street, they ruined my little lot. So
the version of this claim that I had, the person did not know that they inherited land, although that one was trickier because the land they inherited was not traditional federal or state land. It was Indian land that was through the generational, giving of their family. It ended up in their name as a result, and they didn't know it. So that was an interesting claim, because then it was, well, when did they know? Was there proper notice? Is there proper notice traditionally through Indian? That was a totally different spiel. But for yours, I would contact the local field office, submit the documents, and say, guys, it's a quick approval. Can we work something out here? I would talk to a manager, though, because the local FO reps at the lower level are not going to be able to help you with that.
Okay. So I need to call the local office and ask for a manager, or do I call like the 1-800?
No, you don't call the. So, all right. Do you know where your local field office is?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, I got you. So, yeah, you're going to contact your local field office, and they'll set you up basically. But what you'll do is you'll ask to have a meeting with a manager. They'll give you a day and a time, and then you'll basically meet with the manager on that day and time. Or you'll do a phone call with the manager at that day and time.
Okay. All right.
All righty. Perfect.
Yeah, then I have another question for you. My stepmother, her and my father were really married. They were common law back in 76.
Okay.
And my father passed, and my stepmother's now homeless, for a long story short.
Okay.
I called them, and they said that she would be entitled to $4 more than what she's currently getting by claiming off my dad. But my question to you is, she's not disabled, however, I think she should be, but she's actually 71. Would there be any way of getting more money for her, like if she was disabled, or no?
Potentially, but remember, did she remarry or live in a state where common law, like you said? I mean, if she remarried, she's not going to. Yeah.
Common law is no longer here. When I called, they said, "Oh no, we don't recognize common law no more." And I said, "Hold on."
Okay.
This was what they cut out common law. I don't know, probably 15 years ago or so. This was way back. You know what I mean? And they had everything that they did. It was common law, common law, common law. You know what I mean?
So this is what I would say. Yes, in the instance of them not actually being married, she would still be able to tap into potentially his benefits. But, and it's a big but here, the problem is I don't have enough facts to know specifically what's going on, because remember, she can't really get SSDI benefits anymore. She can only get retirement because SSDI converts into retirement at her full retirement age, which is, probably at her age, 65. So that means she's retirement looking to tap into the retirement of her spouse. Then that's a totally different game.
Okay. Now, how far back did they go on that for her? My daddy passed at 18, January of 18.
Yeah. I mean, the farthest. Well, it's not really so much about his passing because an SS or a person that's trying to tap into their spouse's benefits through disability. The spouse.
Well, she's disabled.
She's not disabled, you're saying?
No, I was thinking about trying to get her deemed disabled. She's 71. If it meant that she would get more benefit from him.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing: she can't really. I mean, I don't know. I've never had a question of a person past and she's maximum retirement at this point. I'm pretty sure she would not be able to take, but I'd have to look up in that unique situation what the deal would be, because normally you have to take SSDI before essentially. So if you want to take from your spouse's benefits through your disability, your spouse has to basically be eligible for benefits, die, or essentially be disabled themselves. And so what's happening here is a situation where he's passed away, so that works, but she's got to usually take before, essentially she goes on to the full retirement option, which is when they take you off of disability at your full retirement age. So I mean, what you're really asking me is, could she get a tie back for an alleged onset date back to essentially 64 in a day before 65? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I've never seen that be done, but maybe you could claim it. Maybe,
Well, the thing about it was she signed my dad's name on tax papers when we were kids. I mean, I grew up as my stepmom, and then they separated, but they never divorced. And my dad's argument was always, well, what day did we get married if we were married? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
He's like, well, then tell me what day I got married. I don't know that. What day did you both sign your name?
Yeah.
That's the day you got married.
Yeah, true. Very true. Yeah.
I mean, this was way back in the day, and I've been telling my stepmom, her and my dad split up, and she moved in with another man. He ended up getting Alzheimer's. His kids came and took him, and it's just horrible, and she's on the streets now. So
that's tough.
I'm trying to help her, and she's got a retirement. I mean, she's getting her retirement through Social Security, but it ain't even state minimum. And she called them and asked for state minimum. She could get more money because she knows everybody else is getting. She's only getting like $550 a month.
Gotcha. Yeah, I hear you.
And I'm like, that's a ton of money you missed out on.
Look, and here's the thing too. When you go back that far, you're not dealing with a single set of rules. I mean, you're dealing with like history of different sections of history rules. And that's what's so tough about those claims. When you go back 15, 20 years, stuff like that, the common law rules.
They told me that they would only go back 6 months on payment.
For what? SSDI? For retirement? For what?
For the difference between her check and what she would get if she claimed his.
If she could get it.
They said she would get about $400 more by claiming his.
I would call them and
that
see.
They would only get back 6 months.
I would call them and see what they say, and then kind of go from there. The way I would see it coming down, is that you'd have to claim an alleged onset date way back to essentially when she was, 64 and a day before 65, to try and tap into that, at least through the disability aspect. I don't know if they're going to do that, but give them a call, see what their thoughts are on it,
Well, what's the full retirement age then on her?
Full retirement age for somebody that old would be like 65, and then the maximum retirement age would be like 70. So she takes full benefits at 70 if she had waited to 70 to take, but she probably took benefits if she was having financial troubles at 62.
Yeah, she did. She took early retirement. She has bad legs, and she had to have a knee replacement, and she has really bad swelling in her legs. She got to put stockings on all the time. That's what I said. It wouldn't be anything to get her disability because she can't stand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
She can't sit that long periods, to work a regular job. And so, but anyways, yeah, she took early retirement at 60, I think 63, but she's 71 now.
So I guess, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I don't know what to do with her. I want to help her, but I don't know what to do.
I hear you. This is what I would say. Go ahead, call the SSA, see what happens, then give us a call next week, and then we can kind of go through the details as to potential options for her to try something.
Okay. Which way do you, should I also talk to the manager about her case as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be you'd want to reach out to somebody because that's a unique situation you would rarely see, and the manager would be the better option.
Well, they were like, well, why'd she wait so long? And I'm like, I kept telling her, but when she was with the other man, she'd been with him for 12 years. So,
and she never married
they
him.
split up. No, not married. No. So she put all these years into two men, and she's got nothing, and I'm like, she don't drive or anything. I'm like, holy crap, she don't have any kids of her own, and just me and my brother. So
yeah, I hear you.
I'm trying to take care of her. I'm trying to help, but I don't know which way to go with all this. It's just
I hear you.
I don't know enough about my own.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll call this and then I'll call you back next week. How about that?
Sounds good. I'll catch you next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.
All right, you too, hon. Thanks so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, guys, I just wanted to go ahead and say thank you to everybody for being a part of this channel, watching the videos, getting updates. The big things I'm trying to do with this channel are figure out ways that we can actually have a system where people can start, donation systems for people, and that we can post like, how much did this person get this week? How much did people donate to this person? Like figuring out who's in a real bad spot, and then using this channel to help people. The other thing is that we're setting up an actual sound studio that's like a newsroom. We just picked up the fancy news desk thing, and I've got to clean it off, fix it a little bit, get it ready. But we've started to go ahead and really change that room into what the future of this channel is going to be. It won't just be a backdrop like this. There'll be actually like TV screen thingies behind me. It'll be like a YouTube newsroom. And then the other thing too that's going on is we have some of the bigger video sets that I'm actually more passionate about coming out, which is how to write a bill. I haven't released those yet because I haven't had a chance to finish enough of them, and I've been really tired and constantly working. I don't know if you can tell, but my eyes are obviously for my age not doing so great. But the point is, went through a tough time. COVID was a tough time for all disability attorneys. I know a couple of them, actually 3 of them now, that went out of business. I feel really bad about it. They went out of business quasi-retired. But we are trucking. We are doing good. We are out of that, down spot. So we're now doing this. So we're really happy we did make it through. But anyway, everybody else, I just want to say thank you so much for being part of this channel. Have an absolutely wonderful night. I really appreciate it. My dogs really appreciate you guys tuning in because they love to pop up here and there. And if you have dogs, if you have cats, God bless you. The best thing you can do in life is to take care of someone or something that can't take care of itself without your love and care. And that's just the beautiful thing about it. So if you do have a dog or a cat, especially, thank you. You guys have a wonderful night, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye, guys.